Hi, this is Jennifer Riccinelli. I am editorial director with Tile, and today I am speaking with Shannon Yodice. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for talking with me today. You have an interesting story. I think you have a unique path you took to becoming a tile contractor. Would you mind sharing a little with us?
Sure. So yeah, before I was a tile setter, I was actually a accountant for almost a decade. I went to college for accounting, graduated, and spent a number of years sitting behind a desk. And throughout that time, I really thought that I wanted to do that. So, and I finally, like my last year or so being an accountant, I landed my dream job, like the job I really always wanted, which was an auditor for the construction division of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. And I just thought that job was so cool because I can travel around and go to different construction sites and, be on site, but also kind of do my job, and I really was looking forward to getting out of the office. And I did that and it was fun. But what during my time there at my quote unquote dream job that I wanted for a very long time, I still found myself kind of unhappy. So construction is kind of in my blood. I come from a blue collar family. My dad has owned his own business my entire life. And during summers, I would work with him. My dad's a stonemason, so he did a lot of work outside, and he would do the stone veneer on the exteriors of houses, and he would do pavers. And I would help him. And I loved working in the summer because the sun was out, it was hot out. Like, I just loved being outside. And I think that the physical challenge of it actually really interested me as well. But I didn't know or think of any of these things until I was sitting at a desk for almost 10 years. And I'm like, ugh, I just don't feel fulfilled. So long story short, when me and my at the time boyfriend, he's now my fiance, we decided to move to Houston, Texas. We were living in New Jersey.
Okay.
We decided to move to Texas because of like the weather. We wanted to be somewhere where the weather was much warmer.
Trust me, I'm in New Jersey now, so I
Yeah,
understand.
we were like kind of sick of the cold. And then on top of that, we wanted a little bit, we were looking forward to getting engaged and doing that whole, starting our life. And we were like, okay, well, maybe should we get engaged first or buy a house? And at first I was like, well, I think that the more responsible thing is to maybe buy a house. Getting engaged and married is expensive. So I kind of didn't want to do that and be like living in an apartment. I don't know. So we were looking at houses, and in New Jersey, it was just anywhere close to where we were working was super expensive. And and like if we were to buy something we can afford, it was like really crappy, for lack of better words. It was
no, I get
it. So I'm like, okay.
Then taxes, and yes, I understand.
I'm like, I can't, I just kind of took an audit of my life. Like, I'm like, I don't like any of this. Like, I'm not happy with any of where I'm going and what I've created. Like, I just don't like it. So we moved down to Houston and we actually started a GC business. So we were taking on larger projects, multiple different things. We weren't doing just tile at first. And we would, anything that we didn't know how to do, which was a lot, we hired out, specialty trades to do specific things. Like we would just really manage and oversee all of the projects. And that was okay for a little while. But when it came to tile and showers and specific things like that, we noticed that it was really hard in the area we were to find anybody who really was educated and skilled to set tile. And what we were finding was that not only were we tearing out showers that were leaking and failing, et cetera, and the more that we would do them, the more research we would do and we would learn more. So it kind of forced us into really soaking up a lot of knowledge in that area. And, after about a year or two of dealing with that, we were like, I think we should scale back and just do tile because obviously it's a need. There's a market for it, and it would alleviate a lot of problems that we were having at the time. And we kind of wanted it to be more, we wanted to be more in a niche. We wanted to be able to provide a little bit of a better experience to the client, where like it was very tailored, very custom towards their project. So we were like, the best way to do that is to just set tile, we're just going to do that. And then so Chris, my fiance, he did that for a little while, and he would still hire help. Like he would be the main guy, but he would hire help. And then I would come and I would work every once in a while, because like I did with my dad, I just liked it. So I did that for like 2 years. And then in 2020, I actually, like when we moved to Texas originally, sorry to jump around a little bit,
No,
but
that's fine.
I was still working as an accountant. I just got a job because we were in a new place. And then in 2020, I decided like, I think it's time that we just like jump in. And so then it was just me and him. And at first I would just like set the tile. I have a lot more patience with setting the tile, and he would do all the other stuff. And then slowly it grew into, now I can do everything that he does. It's just we work together as a team, and it's really great. It's just being me and him. So ever since 2020, I've been setting tile full time.
That's quite a story. And that's what I was going to ask you, because you made a big change, but it's kind of clear that you have it in your genes, for construction and that type of work. But it is a big step to leave one whole career after so long and do something totally different. What would you say to someone, thinking about it, but kind of scared to make that step?
Yeah. If somebody really wants to do it, but they're scared, I think that the best advice is like, if you're currently in a career that you need to be in, because obviously we all need money, like you can't just wake up one day and decide, I'm going to do something different. You have to create a plan. So create a plan and get involved with whatever industry it is. Reach out to people who are doing better than you, who are already doing what you want to be doing, and you need to surround yourself with those people. You can't be afraid of what people are going to think of you, because truthfully, at the end of the day, anybody who's doing anything really well, they don't look down on others. It's always the people who are really like, they're not accomplishing what they want. Right. So those people who you're going to seek out that are doing really well, they're going to want to lift you up. They're going to want to help you. And because they've been in your position before, or they see that you are willing to do something. And in the beginning, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of disappointment, but you have to keep going. It's not easy. It's really not easy. But if you surround yourself with the right people, you will find that you will get there a lot faster than if you just try to do everything on your own.
It's all worth it. Yeah. What did you find was your biggest sources of information to help you hone your craft, so to speak?
So I did a lot of research, and my biggest source of information and the best path that I could have been on is reaching out to people within my industry. I was in the industry Facebook groups a lot, and then that led me to people closer in my area that I can meet with. And that's where I'm saying, like, surround yourself with people who are doing better than you, because they will lift you up. They will help you. You just kind of like absorb their knowledge. And basically that was my biggest source, was going to different tile shop, they're like seminars that they put on and trainings. I went to like a Schluter training, and I went and I reached out to people in my area, like physically, and I went to work with a few people. There's an older gentleman named Paul Lucia from Cabot and Row. He's in Houston, Texas, and he was a key player in the fact that he was doing it for 40 years, and he was a very big proponent of helping me and Chris learn the right way to do things, or just being there to answer questions when we had those questions. Sure, we have the internet, but you never really know, if you like search something online, you never really know if you're getting the right answer. So it's always really nice to reach out to an actual person and get their actual input. So be involved in your industry. If it's tile specifically, know the reps in your area. Reps are really great. The manufacturer reps will always help. They're there to do that specific thing. So it's like, I feel like a lot of people are just afraid to ask questions or afraid to
Absolutely.
be wrong, you know, and I think that that is kind of a downfall. You have to be wrong and you have to fail to learn. So that's another thing. And it will just get you so much further, so much quicker if you just know that there's
Right.
knowledge out there and just absorb it and ask questions.
That makes sense. And you mentioned Facebook, and you yourself have grown quite a social media presence. First of all, that tile chick, how did that come about? That's a catchy brand you kind of branded yourself with.
I always had social media. Like, I'm a millennial, so I've had social media my entire life, pretty much, almost. But so when me and Chris, my fiance, we started our business, we have a business page, and I would do random things and I would post on there, you know, on the business page when I was doing projects. And he's like, well, if you're going to be setting tile full time, why don't you just like create your own, you know, Instagram, and you could just share your journey. Like, you could just talk about what you're doing and how you're starting to do this new career. And I'm like, okay, that's a good idea. And I was like, well, what am I going to call it? You know, he actually came up with that tile chick because he's like, it's catchy, it's simple, it describes what you're doing. And I'm like, all right. And at first I didn't like it. I'm like, I'll change it later. I'll just like start the page right now and I'll share a couple things that I've done. And so once it stuck, I was like, okay, well, now I don't know what else to call it at all. So I'm just going to be that tile chick, I guess.
It seems to be working. So that's great. So you started that way. And then did you start with one thing like Instagram or YouTube, or how did you start out to build your social media presence?
So it's always good to just start with one platform. We stuck with Instagram and we focused solely on Instagram for a long time. I didn't start branching out to other platforms until, I don't know, maybe last year, you know, and even then, Instagram's still my main platform. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, but Instagram is really where I focus a lot of my time. Everything else is just kind of secondary. I really want to, my second focus really is YouTube. So I'm really trying to grow that because that's where the longer format content does really well. And you can really provide a lot more value, which is my thing. I want to be able to provide whoever's watching my content a lot of value. And where Instagram's going right now is like the short format, you know, videos, and they're doing really well. You get like the most reach for that. But I think people don't really go to Instagram to watch a longer format video to really truthfully learn something. You can put out a quick tip or a quick bit of information or something funny, but really YouTube is where you're going to get the most retention for a long format video, which would be like more of your educational stuff.
Right, which makes sense. And it sounds like you are trying to pay it forward. You want to educate others too, you know, sharing what you have learned. In addition to that, do you find it's a good way of marketing for like to bring in customers or?
Yes, absolutely. I think that being able to, for me, it's like, I don't know how to explain this, but like, I know this stuff, right? Like I do it, I know it in my head and I put it into practice, but someone else, like a homeowner, they shouldn't know, you know, it's
Right.
not their job to know. So it's my job to be able to explain to them in the most easy, most simple way that they can be like, oh, wow, okay, like I understand in a quick sentence or two, rather than me pulling out a technical handbook on why this or this needs to be done. You know, you really need to practice that, because selling that point that, you know, I'm educated, I'm qualified to do this job, and here's why, in a way that they're going to understand, that it's not just going to glaze over and sound like you're just like throwing information at them that they can't even digest. So I think like me doing social media, me being on camera, me talking to so many people, it has really truthfully helped me provide that value to almost anybody who doesn't know anything about setting tile, to somebody who, from a true person who's completely never doesn't know anything, to somebody who maybe knows a little bit. I could I can have a conversation with a wide variety of people and be able to get that through, nail that through that, you know, I know what I'm talking about. So it really does help, and it like sets you apart from the next person who comes in, just grabs the measurements and they're out the door and they just throw the price out like, yeah, this was going to be, you know,
Absolutely. It must
it
help.
builds trust.
Yes, like I was gonna say, in comfort and, absolutely trust in you. Are you finding that your customers are a little more savvy because of what's out there, that they've done their homework, they see things on Instagram and know what they want, or do you have a mix?
I truthfully have a mix, and I think that there's a lot of people who don't know, like they don't know anything at all. And it's the only reason why they will know something is if they've been ripped off. And there's a lot of people that we've done work for that have been ripped off. And it's very rare that they come to us and they like say things that we're like, oh wow, this person did their homework and they did the right homework. It's very rare, but when they have been ripped off, they're way more cautious. They ask more questions. And I feel like it shouldn't be to that point. Everybody should ask questions to like kind of feel if who they're hiring is educated and can explain things in a very basic way. But that's not really happening. And even with the amount of information that's available on the internet, in our industry, truthfully, there's not that much information. There's not that many people who set tile that are sharing the education. In fact, I feel like more people who are super qualified in setting tile, they're not sharing the information because they think, and it's been said to me many times, that they think that because they share the information is no longer valuable. But if that was true, like you look back in history, then we wouldn't be studying history. We need to know this information, and it creates way more value than not value. I think actually the more generations of people holding in information and withholding it is what kind of is the downfall to our industry as a whole, that the consumer is generally uneducated on what a qualified installer really is.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think the more you share with each other experiences and education, it only makes the whole industry stronger as a whole.
Yeah,
So
100%.
definitely. Well, is there anything else you'd like to tell us? Do you have any memorable experience or some that stands out, a job or, an encounter or something?
I would have to say, like, anytime that there is a first time to do anything, right? It's always like you kind of, so I'll use this as an example. So we did on a second story, we did a curbless shower. So, and we did it with large format tile. So the large format tile was running through the entire bathroom, and then it was going into the shower pan. So we had to do envelope cuts. And that was the first time I have ever experienced not only a curbless shower, but also large format doing envelope cuts. And so, you read about it, you learn about it, but like when you're trying to tackle something that you've never done before like that, it really like it tests your skills. And then when you walk away, every time you walk away from something new that you've done and completed, you feel like this sense of empowerment, like, wow, when I first started this, it's like a transformational feeling. I did this, I was terrified. I was so scared every step of the way because I never did this before. And then when you're finished, you look at it, you're like, wow, I did that. I really did that. That's crazy. And I think that every single time that there's something new that challenges me in this trade, I have that feeling. And I think that that's the reason why I'm still doing it, is because every job is different.
Yeah.
And while like I could set tile anywhere, it's always like there's always something different, whether it's a new material, a new layout, something different that's going on because it's a remodel. You learn so many things, and it's like never ending because no two projects are the same. So that's my most memorable and my favorite thing that I would like to share.
No, it's never dull. And like you said, every day is a new day and a new project and new people, I guess, that you're also working with. So what would be next for that tile chick?
What's next? I don't know. I have some things that, I'm thinking of and like wanting to do because of social media. It's opened up a lot of opportunities. And I think that one key thing is that being on social media and doing this is kind of like a second job. So it's like a side hustle, if you will.
Absolutely. It's a lot of work to maintain.
And so while, yeah, we do installs and we are tile setters, I think that because of the ability of social media, it allows you to make connections and network faster than any other thing out there. And you kind of become like an entrepreneur. You can literally turn your social media into almost anything that you want it to be. And I think that what I'm looking forward to is I've connected with a company called Matriarchy Build, and they are a online platform for females in the trade. And basically consumers can come in and they can hire me to consult with me on, they're hiring a contractor and maybe they want to talk to a female tile contractor. I'm like, oh, well, how do I know if this contractor is going to be, if they're qualified or if they're doing this correctly? Or if they wanted to pay me to help them do their DIY project, like they can't afford a contractor and they wanted to take on the project themselves. So the internet allows you to do amazing things like that, where now not only do I get to set tile, but I also get to help other people in different ways. And I can connect with them all over the place and help them get a really good job and also do a really good job on their own home if they can't really afford to hire a contractor.
Right.
And, so that's kind of like where I'm going next.
That's great.
And I have a couple other secret projects in my mind that I don't want to share yet, but
I understand. Well, you just let us know when you're ready and we'd love to have you back.
yeah.
Good. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and we wish you all the best. And I'm sure I'll be running into you at a trade show or or some industry event.
Yeah, I'm going to be at Coverings.
Okay, great. I will be there too.
Yeah. So I have a very packed schedule and I'm like, there's so many people I want to see and I'm hoping I get to see some. But if I don't get to see you, I'm just going to apologize in advance because
I totally get that.
Is booked for like morning tonight.
Totally understand. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.